Hey, baby, I'm Robin Roberts, and I'm alive in South Beach.
Hi, I'm Dena Stewart.
And I'm Stewart.
And we're alive on South Beach.
A show with a little bit of this.
And a little bit of that. Art Basel Miami Beach came and went. And it was a fabulous event because it wasn't just here on Miami Beach. It was in Miami as well.
The artwork is from all over the world, and the media for 2 or 3 days makes Miami Beach the center of the art universe. I'm standing here with Irene Sperber. You've been to a few of the Art Basel over the years.
15, all 15.
And how does this one compare to some of the others?
Well, it's certainly a lot larger. I understand there's probably double the amount of galleries and the space. And it's definitely changed the feeling of it. It's different this year because I think the pieces are larger and probably reflecting what's going on in society now.
When you look at art, what do you look for?
It's not so much that I'm looking for something, I'm waiting to feel something.
What are you waiting to feel?
An interest, something that will drag me in, something that is either very beautiful or well presented, or something that I don't understand that I want to understand more of, that I don't understand. I enjoy process. So to get in there and trying to figure out what the level of process is, that's what's interesting for me.
We're at the end of Art Miami Week, and we're really at one of the best social events of the entire week. This is at the Sagamore Hotel, and this is the 15th year that they've had this brunch. And this is just a great place to meet with people and compare notes and talk about what a great week this was. You know, after every Art Basel, a bunch of locals get together to sort of characterize what their experience was. Now, the artwork is good. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about the important stuff. The parties, the food, the crowds at the parties, and the kind of people that we're all able to meet here on the beach. So why don't you give us your impression of Art Basel weekend from that standpoint?
Oh, well, this year, actually, I've been trying to concentrate on the art, because one year I just went to the parties and missed the art. This year I'm trying to see just the art.
Okay, what about you?
Brigitte.
Brigitte.
Okay. Well, I went to the Faina forum to hear what was behind all the art.
And what's behind it?
Well, behind it is a vision. It's a want. It's a multicultural event, and I loved it. And then, of course, all the art, there's so much of it.
Well, let me ask you the important question. What was the best party you went to this week?
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't really go to that many myself. But I love them all anyways, baby.
Okay, now we're going to ask the party man,
Exactly.
who is the publisher of Miami Art Zine and is seen all over, everywhere. What was the best event you went to?
Well, I really can't compare. You know, they're all so wonderful. And the art has been amazing this year. This is such an undertaking. This year, I really realized how much planning and creativity has to go into this. It's just overwhelming.
Maddie, come on in. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet the first Hispanic female mayor of Miami Beach, Maddie Bauer. And she's here, like everybody else, to just enjoy the art. So let me ask you a question. What's your impression this year, not of the art, but of the whole event, the parties, the crowds, the food?
Listen, Art Basel is the best thing that has ever happened to Miami Beach. It's one of the premier showcases of art. It's something that every single person can enjoy. Everybody can come and look, even if they don't buy, and learn from what we have here. So I am always happy.
There were so many events and so many people and so many parties that, interestingly enough, this year it was about the art. Several years ago, we heard Nicole Henry perform, and we were blown away by her talent and her beauty. So when we saw her again, we invited her over to talk about what's been happening lately in her fabulous career. Well, she brought us up to date, and Stewart had a fairly lengthy conversation with her. This is just a small little peek into what they talked about.
Jazz singers are a special breed. A minimum, you have to have a good voice, a good appearance, and create a performance that's memorable. But that's just the bottom line, because within that group there are great jazz singers. And I'm referring to people like Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Billie Holiday, Dinah Washington, Alberta Hunter, and the list just goes on, who do more than just sing. They draw their audience into their story, and the audience gets to feel what they're feeling, and that's a very special talent. And the lady sitting next to me, when they make up the list of jazz great stylists, they're going to include Nicole Henry. Hi.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That was a beautiful introduction, and thank you for the analogies and comparisons, and thank you.
The last time you were on the show, you had an album coming out called Embraceable,
Sure.
and that became like a big breakout album for you. What did it feel like the first time you heard a song from that album on the air?
You know what? Just last week I got emails from people saying, "Oh, I just heard you're waiting in vain on watercolors." You know, the XM or the TV music station. So it never stops being fun. On top of that, I was awarded a Soul Train Music Award for the recording for this rendition of Bob Marley's "Waiting in Vain" that I did.
What's in the future for Nicole Henry?
Ooh, I hope a lot. I'm really excited. I'm also spending a lot more time now in New York City. I've always loved TV and film acting, and I've always loved the idea of Broadway. So I'm up there putting some feelers out. You know, it's going to take a little time. You can't just show up in New York City and take it by storm, but that's the goal over some time.
Recently, we received an invitation to Brit Week, and we figured, sure, great, we'll have an opportunity to go to the Eden Rock Hotel, which is now the new Nobu Eden Rock Hotel. And there we ran into Justin Jones.
This is Justin Jones, and you are?
I'm the director of Brit Week Miami, which was an event that started back in Los Angeles almost 10 years ago. And in fact, in Miami, we're the first city outside of LA to host Brit Week. So we're in we'll be in our 5th year next year, and we already do Orlando, and we'll also be in Atlanta, Georgia for the first time next year.
How many Brits are there down here?
Oh, there's a few thousand Brits. There's about 300 to 400 companies in Miami alone, British companies, and of course a lot of Brits are running the American US-based business over here too. So there's quite a few Brits, and they all come out the woodwork during Brit Week, which is rather exciting, and come together and network, and that's what it's all about.
Could you teach me how to speak British?
Absolutely, dear fellow, yes. Brilliant.
Give me an example.
It's just not cricket.
It's just not cricket.
It's just not cricket.
It's just not cricket.
There you go.
When we went to the Miami Book Fair and looked at the names of authors and their titles, one of the titles caught my eye. It was the Psychedelic Gospels. And it turns out it's all about magic mushrooms, as they're called now, and the part that it played in Christianity.
The book is called The Psychedelic Gospels, The Secret History of Hallucinogens in Christianity.
And what does that really mean?
Well, the book asks the question, does Christianity have a psychedelic history? And based on a discovery of a psychoactive mushroom that we made in Rosslyn Chapel in 2006, we were stunned to find this there, and we asked ourselves the question, is it possible that hidden in plain sight for centuries, there were psychedelic images in the art and artwork of Christianity? And we undertook a research quest that took us from chapels to cathedrals, looking at mosaic stained glass windows, and everywhere we went, we found hidden images of psychoactive mushrooms mainly in Christian art.
Is it possible that some of the miracles that are attributed to Jesus and to some of his followers, like walking on water, were really based on the fact that everybody was tripping that night?
There is a deep and long tradition of psychoactive substances, and we know from contemporary research that psychedelic substances, psilocybin, LSD, can certainly bring about the experience of divinity. So we certainly think it's within the realm of possibility that people throughout the ages, including people involved in Christianity, have actually experienced divinity and immortality through partaking in psychoactive substances.
Well, do you think there might be a renaissance in hallucinogenic drugs?
We are revisiting the medical and therapeutic benefits of psychedelic substances. There are major studies going on with how they can help with post-traumatic stress syndrome, with alcoholism, with depression, and many other diseases. And that is driving, we believe, psychedelics into medical acceptance and will eventually take it into the mainstream of American culture. We think that just as they've legalized the Supreme Court the use of peyote for the Native American church, that every American ought to have as a First Amendment right the right to responsibly explore psychedelics for religious purposes.
At the book fair, we also had an opportunity to speak with Nick Spill, private investigator and celebrity bodyguard, who wrote several books on the subject.
You must have some great stories. How did you get involved in that business?
Well, it all goes back to New York when I was dating my girlfriend at the time. She came home drunk one night with a life-size cardboard cutout of Tom Selleck, you know, with the little shorts and the great legs. And I thought I used to put a towel over his head so he couldn't see us. But the only way I could compete with him was to become a private investigator, and I took care of people's problems.
What's the most outrageous problem you had to deal with?
It's in my book, The Way of the Bodyguard. Oh, there was one where she was promoting a new perfume. We went to several clubs, and she finished up at the Raleigh downstairs by the swimming pool at 6 o'clock. There was a massive amount of press outside. She was staying at the Shore Club. The only way I could get her back there, and because she passed out, was to carry her on the beach all the way. So we had paparazzi behind us chasing us. I picked her up and took her all the way back to her hotel and put her safely in her bed, tucked her up, and there were her I don't know how many little dogs. There were a lot of little dogs running around that little suite.
Watching all of this and being involved, I'm sure it was challenging. Was it ever fun?
Afterwards. Sometimes the people just want to party, and of course they're doing an enormous amount of drugs and have an enormous amount of energy.
Which do you like doing better? You know, research, detective work, or bodyguard, let's party work?
Well, I do investigations now almost exclusively. When you're an investigator, you can pee on your own time. I think that's what sums it up.
You can hear my extended conversations with Nicole Henry and Jerry Brown and several other people if you click Conversations.
Well, here we are at the end of another episode.
Yes, we are.
I'm Dena Stewart.
And I'm Stewart.
And this is the cafe at Books and Books on Lincoln Road,
where we are alive on South Beach for
syndicatednews.net or SNN.BZ.
Until next time, to all our friends around the world, thank you.
I'm John Leguizamo, and I'm alive on South Beach. Barely, but still living.
Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, my irreplaceable you.